Good evening, it's 8 o'clock. I'm Sally Burdett, live from Johannesburg. Your top stories this evening. A teacher filmed abusing a toddler will have to answer to the law, but big questions remain about what went on at this unregistered Carletonville creche.
You are actually going to see how we expose lies and defamation.
We actually relish the opportunity to get some of these individuals in a court of law.
A legal battle looms between ANC Secretary-General Ace Magashule and author Peter Louis Myburgh, who's written an explosive book alleging the former Premier of the Free State is corrupt to the core.
The people there are really complaining about service delivery issues, and they've been asking and pleading with the mayor to go and address them.
Well, the president says Mayor Herman Mashaba must go to Alexandra and address residents' concerns. Our top story this evening: what happens to your child at creche? That's the question South Africans across the country are asking after shocking footage emerged today of a toddler being abused by a teacher at a Carletonville nursery school. Now, the footage, which was apparently recorded last year, was shown to the owners of the creche just last week. They contacted authorities. The woman in the video was arrested. Now, Gauteng Social Development MEC Nandi Mayathula-Khoza joins us on the line now. Good evening, MEC. Thank you so much for your time. I understand you are going to shut down this creche. You detailed earlier this evening social workers knew the creche's registration had expired, knew the principal was not supplying details about the qualifications of their staff. Surely if you'd acted earlier on those issues, you may have stopped this abuse. Why didn't you?
Good evening, Sally. Indeed, after the shocking news that I had only today, I swiftly moved to Carletonville at the creche, where the shocking abuse of children is actually happening. I discovered also only today that the creche is not legally registered. It was conditionally registered in 2016, and the social workers indicated to me when I probed that they kept on reminding the principal of that creche to comply and to register the creche permanently. And I also heard only today, when I visited the family, that the principal was apparently qualified with level 4, but she did not want to tell the social workers whether or not the staff were actually qualified.
So some serious concerns. I would imagine you're saying you were only informed about these lapses today. You must be asking some extremely tough questions down the line about why social workers haven't raised the red flag, because we know this is not the first time unregistered facilities have seen terrible accidents happening to children.
Absolutely. I will be, in fact, I had already started asking questions today when we were together with the social workers. But I think that the best thing to do is to really embark on a thorough investigation of the situation and get to the bottom of this situation. Because indeed, my social workers were then supposed to escalate the matter. If the principal of the school is not cooperating with them, they are supposed to escalate the matter and to the regional manager, who then also reports to the head of department to take that decision.
Exactly. So that chain of command clearly fell through. So we look forward to an update on that. Very quickly, there are parents in Gauteng and around the country saying, how do I know my child is safe at creche? What is your word of advice to them this evening?
Yes, in the first instance, we have always been encouraging parents to take their children to legally registered early childhood development centers. How do they find out if these are legally registered? They must always, when they enter a crèche, they must always look on the wall, because they've all been told that they must hang their registration, all their registrations from the health certificates that they get from local
government. So it should be displayed.
It should be displayed on the wall. That's what our parents should look out for. If those are not there, they should move to the next crèche so that they ensure that their children, attend a safe crèche that takes good care of them.
Thank you so much, MEC. That's the Gauteng Social Development MEC, Nandi Mayathula-Khoza, confirming that creche is being closed down. It was unregistered. Moving on, Secretary-General Ace Magashule says the party's candidate list for the coming elections went through a democratic process within the structure of the party and due process was followed. Now, the ANC is being criticised over its decision not to drop the names of party members accused of state capture. Even the elders within the ANC last week called for those under a cloud to be removed from the list. Speaking exclusively to our reporter Samkele Maseko earlier today, Magashule said he was surprised by the backlash.
The Provincial Working Committee of every province has been involved in the list. They will see. And before I could even go and register the list, the National List Committee has almost 31 meetings. We have been briefing the top 6. The provinces have been briefed, conveners of province. It has never happened even before 1994, even after 1994. This is the first time that we have been so democratic. And all these names all the time, be it Gwedemantashe, Nomvula, they have been there on the list. Everybody knew that.
Meanwhile, the Secretary-General is threatening legal action over a controversial book that was released last week, Gangster State, by investigative journalist Peter-Louis Myburgh, alleges the former Free State Premier was involved in stealing money meant for upliftment projects in the province. But Magashule says it's all lies.
Lies are splashed there, well-coordinated lies. Repeat them and repeat them and repeat them and repeat them until people believe them.
Can you give me one example of a lie that has been told?
There are so many lies.
Lies about you and the Guptas?
People have said, yeah, there are lies about me and the Guptas. Wait and see when I take legal action, because they are well coordinated, well planned, well orchestrated, deliberate to weaken the ANC, to deal with me. And I can tell you, I'm not the product of anything. I'm the product of the ANC structures.
Who wants to deal with you?
We'll come to that, because I'm following the legal route.
Well, the author, Peter-Louis Myburgh, says the allegations in his book are a result of meticulous research, and he would welcome a legal challenge.
We actually relish the opportunity to get some of these individuals in a court of law. So being sued over allegations of corruption might be a very nice opportunity for us to file for further discovery documents from those who accuse us of spreading lies. So Mr. Magashule is, of course, welcome to explore any legal avenue that is open to him as a South African citizen. But at the end of the day, this is a detailed, well-researched book, and if he feels that's his best play, then he's welcome to come at us.
Moving on now, the Sandton shutdown by Alexandra protesters didn't go ahead today, but there were still some tense moments in the township as residents want to be heard. And the president is urging the mayor, Herman Mashaba, to address people. Mashaba says he's willing to go to Alex, but he wants Cyril Ramaphosa with him. Sekho Hajumoahi has that story.
We don't want a banning Alex, but we want finality to some of these issues. So as a responsible and responsive mayor, we expect him to be here and address the community. Then he can go about his business and continue solving the issues and the problems of the city of Johannesburg. We demand and plead with Mr. Mashaba to come and address the community.
A call from Alexandra residents as sporadic protests flared up again on Thursday. And President Cyril Ramaphosa is echoing their sentiments.
The people there are really complaining about service delivery issues, and they've been asking and pleading with the mayor to go and address them. They are focusing on the local government, the metro, which has all the capabilities of addressing issues. They are complaining about issues of just houses being built on the roadside, and those are issues which are in the realm of the local government. And we're urging the local government to pay heed to address the needs of our people.
But in a statement, Joburg Mayor Herman Mashaba says he's always been willing to meet residents and has challenged the president to name a time and place to join him. Areas where tires were burnt have now been cleaned up, so motorists can once again drive on the roads. Law enforcement officials are monitoring the area closely ahead of a mass meeting scheduled for Friday morning. Alexandra.
To the Vaal now, and the SA Human Rights Commission says the private sector, including ArcelorMittal and Sasol, must share the blame for the pollution in the Vaal River. The Commission conducted a site visit to the Sebokeng wastewater treatment plant today.
The Human Rights Commission is saying it's not only the local government that has to be blamed for this, but we are also looking at the other serious actors in the private sector like Sasol, ArcelorMittal, that have also been throwing their waste effluent into the Vaal River itself. I will reserve my rights on that one for now, because we have embarked on a commission of inquiry, and the report is coming out at the end of June, hopefully, where we are saying that unless there is a master plan, and it's a comprehensive master plan to address this issue, we can't do this thing in a piecemeal fashion. Right now what we see here is shocking, and we're not going to mince our words. It's about the dignity of people, and even poor people have a right to dignity.
International news still ahead, and details of a preliminary investigation into the Ethiopian Airlines crash points to possible plane malfunction.
And in your business news, the Rand weakened in early trade today as government said it's considering more financial support for Eskom, but it did pare back some of those losses later in the day.
Talking business now with Rufiwa Madzena. Now, on Monday, we heard that the tax authority had not collected as much money as they had hoped. Today, a possible solution, but I think it's going to involve a lot of hard work, clamping down on illegal tobacco trade in this country.
That's right, Sally. So we've heard that the Tobacco Institute of South Africa coming out with a statement saying that they could help SARS stop collecting revenue that's shortfalling every single financial year if regulations are put in place to stop the illicit tobacco trade in the country. So every year, SARS loses about 8 billion rand in tax revenue, potential tax revenue, because of the illicit tobacco trade. And right now, we see that the total market, it's got about 42% of the total tobacco market in the country. And one company in particular that's been in the spotlight for a while owns over 70% of the market. They sell a pack of 20 cigarettes at 10 rand. So billions upon billions are being lost. The problem here is that SARS has not cracked the whip on these illicit traders.
And we know why. Let's hope with Edward Kisweta coming in, he will start cracking that whip and sort of restarting those investigations to clamp down on the illegal trade.
Absolutely. They are saying it has to be at the top of his list because billions are being lost to the economy.
BP is in hot water in South Africa. What's happened?
Yeah, so like many multinational companies getting into developing countries, they looked for shortcuts when they are constructing businesses and services. And one of the things that's happened with BP here is an environmental crime. So before the construction of petrol stations around the country, they did not get environmental authorization, which means that the land that they were building on was environmental hazard and could cause environmental disasters of any kind. We don't know. The issue here is now all these petrol stations, 8 counts, have to be shut down, and this means that jobs are going to be lost. The court has also ruled that BP has to pay 100,000 rand per count that they've been implicated in. So tough times for multinationals in the country.
Yeah, well, let's hope they don't do it again. How are the markets today?
Well, Sally, it wasn't as beautiful a day on the markets as it was yesterday. It was a bit of a mixed day, so the JSE edged lower amid mixed global markets, and investors are really waiting for developments on trade talks between China and the US. So the all share there was 1/3% lower, with the resource index leading some of those losses. On the commodities front, gold has lost a bit of its shine today, weakening on the back of a stronger dollar, and platinum was a stunner on the day, rising by over 3% to levels we haven't really seen since 2014. Onto the local unit now. The Rand lacked clear direction today, and it was pulled in all directions by fears around Eskom's outlook, as well as caution ahead of that trade deal between China and the US, Sally.
Thank you very much, Rufiwa. You take care.
Thank you.
Let's move now to Ethiopia, and a preliminary investigation suggests the pilots followed procedure aboard the doomed Boeing 737 MAX 8. All 157 people on board died when the plane crashed shortly after takeoff last month. Ethiopia's transport minister held a media briefing today about those early findings.
It was an accident that devastated a nation. The country is still coming to terms with what happened to Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302 from Addis Ababa to Nairobi on the 10th of March. All 157 people on board died. A preliminary report is now showing that the pilots and crew followed all the guidelines and regulations. However, they couldn't control the flight. The Ethiopian Transport Minister said the findings were based on information from both of the plane's black boxes, the flight data, and cockpit voice recorders. She's reiterated that this investigation is not being done just for the victims and their families.
All in all, the major objective of this investigation is to make sure that there is safety in the aviation sector.
Fingers are now being pointed at Boeing. The 737 MAX 8 is Boeing's top-selling jet, with almost 5,000 on order. Other 737 MAX customers and victims' families want answers and potentially compensation.
Still ahead, we've got all your weather news with Candice as we head to the weekend. Hello there, Candice. And then, fancy yourself a Scrabble wizard? We introduce you to the South African Scrabble champ up next. Let's get all your weather news with Candice McKechnie in Cape Town. Good evening, Candice. Heading closer to the weekend. How's it looking?
Hi, good evening, Sally. Well, we've definitely felt a little bit of cooler weather across South Africa this week, and we've seen good rainfall amounts across the country on Thursday. In the Western Cape, we felt a little bit of that winter chill today with the arrival of a cold front, and it spreads a chance of rain through to the southern parts overnight, with a cold push of air moving in behind that cold front as we head into Friday, spreading the chilly weather across South Africa. We'll also see cloudy and wet weather into KwaZulu-Natal, with isolated to scattered thundershowers extending across South Africa from northwest all the way through to the eastern interior. Widespread showers and thunderstorms are expected into KZN, but with clearer weather expected in the west. A chilly days in store in Sutherland at 5 and 18 degrees, just shy of 30, with a sunny forecast for Uppington. Kimberley and Colesberg can expect a few thundershowers. It'll be a predominantly dry day for the Western Cape, other than some light rain and cool weather for George and Mussel Bay. Mostly clear for Cape Town at 21 degrees. Significantly cooler for the Eastern Cape. Most of the cloud is situated along the coast, with up to a 40% chance of rainfall throughout the Eastern Cape. That cooler weather also moves in over KwaZulu-Natal, 18 for Pietermaritzburg and Ladysmith, with a cloudy and wet day in store with up to an 80% chance of showers and thunderstorms. Scattered to widespread thunderstorms are expected in Mpumalanga, 21 for Emagazeni and Ermelo. You'll also see thundershowers into the southern part of Limpopo, but things stay hot and dry over the northern and eastern parts. The cooling reaches northwest, 22 degrees for Mahikeng, with isolated thundershowers, and then you'll see a 60% chance of thunderstorms as we head towards the Free State, with Bethlehem and Zastron expecting a cool day at 17 degrees. Pretoria tops 25, but you'll see the rest of those highs at 21, with up to a 40% chance of thundershowers for Gauteng, and thunderstorms continue over the northern and northeastern parts on Saturday, with another cloudy, wet and cool day for KZN. But you'll see things warming up in the west through to Sunday, 28 degrees for Cape Town, with thundershowers over much of the interior, and you'll see most maximum temperatures in the 20s. That's all from the Weather Centre. Have a good night.
You as well. Thank you very much, Candice McKechnie in Cape Town there. And finally, it may be over 80 years old, but the word game of Scrabble continues to captivate. South Africa's Scrabble champ says the best way to win is to be creative. Dr. Harry Wiggins is a maths lecturer at the University of Pretoria. He won the championship title recently, and he will soon compete for the world title World English-Speaking Scrabble Players Association Championships, which takes place in India later this year. From me and the team, it's a very good night.